Okay, once again, we are here to continue with our lessons on YouTube. We are still on the broader topic, human resource management. Today we are going to have a very important topic. It's very important because that is what every worker wants. When somebody is employed, when somebody is engaged, what we are going to do today is what the person is interested in. So if you complete school, whatever level it might be, and then you are engaged by an organization, that is you see, before you even go, you want to find out that aspect of the organization, because that is the reason for which you want to be engaged, because you are not a philanthropist. It is for a purpose. You want to give out your service, and something should be given to you in return. So we are going to look at that one. You see, you have been done law of contract. So when you are engaged, that is also a contract, and it is called employment contract. So what goes into that employment contract? That is what we are going to do, and that is what is captioned as conditions of service. So today, for the next 30 minutes, we are going to look at this simple topic, conditions of service. So, and that is what we'll be looking at, conditions of service. When you go home, whether your father is working with whatever organization your father is working with, whether at the university, your father is a teacher, working in any organization, you can ask your father about the conditions of service in that organization. A lot of people would want to give their services to organizations that have good conditions of service. Some people think that the teaching profession does not have good conditions of service, and they may even have something in books, but implementing it is a problem. And so most people may not want to teach. Most people come and they leave because they think that in teaching we have poor conditions of service. So what is it all about? Now look at this book that I'm holding. Look at it. Let's capture it very well. Let them see everything. Now if you're a teacher, you see, now you read what is there. Read it.
Collective agreement for teaching staff within.
Collective agreement for
teaching staff.
Teaching staff
within the Ghana Education Service.
Within the Ghana Education Service. So every teacher is employed by Ghana Education Service. So if a teacher is asked about who his or her employer is, then the teacher will say Ghana Education Service. And Ghana Education Service, the topic we are going to do today for the teacher. So when you go to every organization, they have theirs. And they said collective bargaining agreement or collective agreement. That means, you see, this is all that condition of service about. It means that it is not done unilaterally. Put simply, it is not the employer alone that sits down and decides the conditions of service. That is why they say collective agreement. You know, we have learned, or we learned somewhere along the line when we were in school, and we shall learn in detail very soon about trade unions, labor unions. You know who they are. So for example, we learned about teachers unions, and when you were in school, you mentioned some of them. You mentioned NAGRAT, you mentioned NAT, and somebody whose father was working at the university also mentioned UTAC, and so on and so on. These we learned are labor unions. These we learned are trade unions. So these unions will sit down with the employer and they come up with the condition of service, and it becomes binding for both. So the moment they are through, then it will be documented as it is here. And the employer would have to do as administrated. But the question is, this one that I'm holding for the teacher, if you go through, are they implementing everything that is supposed to be done? That is not for you now. So that is so. But so I'll be reading some. Before I come here, let me read certain things from this place. So it is the collective agreement for teaching staff within the Ghana Education Service, and that was August 2022. This document is reviewed. So when this one will expire, and it is stated here when it is going to expire. So this one will end. Then they will sit down again and prepare a new one. They will modify certain things. Certain things may be maintained. Certain things may change. There may be, for example, allowance that may be, let's say, 1,002. After some time, it may move from 1,002 to another, and so and so. So things may change. So it is not static. It is dynamic. Things may change. So when the time comes and the employer is not ready for the change, the employee can even embark on strike action for the change to be effected. So that is that. So let me try to see whether I can get you some headings in respect of this one, or I'll be looking at the most important thing. So for example, when you go to section 2, section 2, 2.1 says that the purpose of this agreement is to set forth the conditions of service. So you see, so it's worth noting. So the purpose of this collective agreement is to set forth conditions of service relating to salaries, wages, hours of work. So you see, when you come to this place, the provisions in a good condition of service, that is what they are mentioning here. So this is a real condition of service. This is not just hypothetical example. This is for the teacher. So they said the purpose of this agreement is to set forth the conditions of service relating to salaries, wages, hours of work, and other conditions and rules of employment. So when you come here and you want to define what condition of service, you see, look at the rules here. You see, look at the rules here. So that is why I want us to look at a practical one, so that when we come here, it becomes very simple for us. So the rules of employment. Both parties do recognize and agree to promote the growth and development of cooperation, trust, respect, and fairness, and endeavor to uphold these values in the formulation of policies and standards of management in the Ghana Education Service. So when you say both parties, you know the parties, the employer and then the employee. And here the employer will have their unions. So for example, this is teaching, so they will tell you about NAT, NAGRAD, CCT, and so on and so forth. So that is for that one. Let me, there are other things, but let me read the most important things. Let me jump certain things and be reading most important things. So let's look at this one. You know, I told you it expires. So listen to section 4. Section 4. Duration. The duration of this agreement shall be 3 years. So you see, that tells you that this one has already expired, because 2023 is gone. So we have started 2024. So it was, if you look at this place, let's look at it again. Capture the year here. August 2020. So it means that it expired in August 2023. So the parties, when I say the parties, I mean the employer. And here, the employer is Ghana Education Service, and the employee, that is the teachers. But teachers have the associations. Not every teacher that will go and sit down with them. The associations. So you see, NAGRAT, NAT, and the rest, they will, if Ghana Education Service does not call them to sit down to review this one for new one, they will ask them to. If they don't do that, they can even ask teachers to embark on strike action. So it is clear that it is 3 years. The provisions in the agreement. So when we come here, you see that's why provisions. Remember, we have learned that when you say provisions, we are not looking at the things, those things you bring to school. The Milo or Milo, milk, and those. No. You know, when we are talking about partnership, provisions in the partnership, we have learned that when you say provisions, that we are looking at the content, what goes into it. So here will be an outline of the things that go into it. So he said the provisions, with things that have been written here. Provisions, so he said, which line? So 3 years, yeah. The provisions in this agreement can be amended. So when you say amended, you know it. You know that the company's code was amended, the 1963 one, you know when it was amended, and then what it is now. So when you say amended, you understand. So amended, rescinded, you have done law of contract. So when you say rescind, you understand, you know what is meant by rescind. Or otherwise altered at any time within the life of this agreement by mutual agreement between the parties hereto. So what they are saying is that even though it is even 3 years, at any point in time, the two parties can come together. When the time had not even elapsed or expired, the parties can come together to amend it, to withdraw certain things, to rescind, and to do, and that one should be done mutually. So the two parties should agree. It can never be done unilaterally. So that is, so the employer, that is Ghana Education Service alone, cannot say that, oh, we said we are going to give you this, but we are no, they can't. Or we said we want to give you this, they alone cannot do that. And so on, so forth. So let me also leave the other thing. At least we have had something here. Let's go to other important things. They were defining certain things. Let me go and see some entering. So the session 7 talks about entering the service. So if you want to enter into teaching service, what do you do? Everything is written there. So I will not go into that one. I've only given you the heading and so on and so forth. You are moving. Session 10 talks about postings and transfers. So if you're a teacher, now you are posted to teach elsewhere. You can be transferred. So when can those things be done? What does the rule, or what is the norm in respect of postings, transfers? So everything will be stated here. So you will be transferred, you will be posted. When you say you have been posted, it means that you have been asked to go. That one is not transfers. Like you want to teach, then they say go to this place to teach. That means that's where you have been posted to. I've been posted to teach. Then you mention the name of the school that you have been posted to teach. Whilst you are there, you can be transferred. How is it done? Everything is written here. Vacation. Then session 11 talks about vacation of post. There are some teachers who may decide not to come to school. For 1 month, you have not seen the person. For 2 months, you have not seen them. For 3 months, and the person did not ask for permission, they will say that you have vacated your post. When you vacate your post, what happens? Everything has been written here. Everything has been written here. So time will not allow us to do that. Then let me go further. So another thing that is very important to the teacher is the session 13 that talks about remuneration and working condition. So that is what is there. So that one will talk about the teachers' salaries and other things. It will be there. So time will not allow us to go through other things. So let's then session 15 talks about fringe benefits. Very soon we shall learn about this topic, fringe benefits. So we talk about that one. So let me read something here. That's very important. Fringe benefits. That is session 15. So 15.1 talks about vehicle maintenance and kilometric allowances. So if you're a teacher, you have a car or motor, whatever it is, you qualify for maintenance allowance. So how is it paid? How much is going to be paid? Everything will be stated here. It also talks about night allowances. You see, right now, as whether they are paid, that is also a different thing. It talks about allowance for teachers in deprived or difficult areas. If you're a teacher and you are posted to a village where probably there's no even light or whatever, you are at a deprived area. How much is going to be given to you? Now, that teacher, if you want to continue school, how many years do you have to teach? So they will say that, okay, because you have gone to that deprived area, you have a limited number of years, then you can go to university. But the one in city will have to wait for some years before the person can go. Everything is stated here. For example, the ex-president Mahama is saying that when he comes back as a president, if only Ghanaians will vote for him, he will, all those teachers who will be posted to deprived areas will be paid 20% of their whatever they are receiving. That is a promise he's making. As to whether they will be able to fulfill it is also a different thing, and that will be another thing. So that all those things are in the condition of service. Acting allowance. If you are acting as so and so, they have retention premium. Every teacher has this on. It was President. What is the name? Atamis, President, the ex-president Atamis, who gave this one. So if you go to any teacher's payslip, you will see it there, and it's 15% of the teacher's salary. So it will be there, and a whole lot of other things. Salary advance. If I'm a teacher and I'm paid 1 Ghana cedi, and then I say, I can go and tell them that, can you pay me for 3 months, 3 cedis, so that you don't pay me for the next 3 months. That one too is there. But as to whether it is done now, I can't remember the last time a teacher benefited from this. But it used to be there, and it is here too. But as to whether they are doing it, it's also a different thing altogether. Then special advances, transfer grants. If I'm a teacher and I'm transferred from the school I'm teaching now to another school elsewhere in another region, I'm supposed to be giving grant, a certain amount of money. As whether they are paying to is a different thing. That's why initially I said, it is written here, but is it being implemented? That is also a different thing altogether. So rent allowance, and how many teachers are receiving rent allowance? I have never received any rent allowance, so I don't know as to whether some teachers are receiving it. But it's here. It is here. So that is that. Then session 16 talks about continuous professional development. So if you come here, you see opportunity for advancement and training. Yes, it's here. So every November, government gives teachers some amount of money. I will not tell you, because if I tell you November, you come to me. And so I will not tell you. Government gives teachers some amount of money. And government, Ghana Education Service, that is the one that employs us. And so every teacher is given that money to be able to attend some training programs and so forth, so that you can have opportunity to advance in your career. So that one too is there. And a whole lot of other things. So you see, what we are doing today, that is it. So for the teacher, that is the doctors will have their own, university lecturers, they have their own, and so on and so forth. So you see, we have And somebody will say, in your own language, you say, we have killed it. So I've already killed the topic. So what is condition? So we are looking at the meaning, provisions, and then we look at questions. So we are already through. So when you say condition of service, you are looking at the rules, you are looking at the regulations, you are looking at the norms under which an employee or a worker is engaged or employed. So when you are employed, under what rules? What are the rules? What are the rules of your engagement? What are the regulations? What are the norms under which you were employed? We have looked at that of the teacher. That is all that condition of service is about. So if you put it simply, and I said that it is a contract of employment. So you see all those things we are looking at, that is the contract, that is the agreement between the two parties. And here when you breach, if any party that breaches the legal action can be taken against you. So that is for that one. So it's a contract of employment. So you put it simply, you said it's the terms and conditions. When we are talking about law of contract, we learned about terms. So when you say terms, we learned about what terms are and with the types, conditions and warranty. So when you say condition of service, we are looking at the terms and conditions that govern an individual's employment or engagement with an organization. So that is all that it is. Now let's look at the provisions. What goes into it? I mentioned a lot of things here. Number one, time for reporting and leaving workplace. So if you're a teacher, you know that you are supposed to report to work by 7 and then you close at 3:30. So time for reporting. Some workers 8 o'clock, then they close at 4. Some workers whatever. So it depends. So your condition of service will state when you are going to do that. The second one, the condition of service will talk about wages and salaries. So if you look at the teachers one, it's there. The scale, everything will be there. So it will talk about that one. It will also talk about allowances. And I was mentioning a lot of allowances. Some organizations have tire allowances, clothing allowances, this allowance, entertainment allowances, a lot of allowances. So that one will be there. Then duration of employment. Are you going to be casual worker or for permanent worker, whatever? When you are engaged, when they employ you, for how long? The condition of service will talk about that one. Leave entitlement, annual leave, casual leave, maternity leave, all those things will be stated. And you know, if you are so and so and so, for example, if you are a headmaster of a school, how many days will you have for your annual leave? If you are the managing director of an organization, how many days will you have? If you are the laborer, how many days will you have? The managing director and then the laborer, they will not have the same number of days. The managing director will certainly have more days than the laborer. Everything will be stated in a condition of service. Then you also have disciplinary procedures. When you go or when you violate the rules or you go contrary to the norms, what is the procedure? For example, they may say that a committee will be established to look into the matter, to establish the facts and so and so. So the procedure will be laid down so that you know that when you violate any of the organization's rules, if you misconduct yourself now and so on and so forth, then what should be the procedure? So that is why I also said here that we are looking at the channel of redressing grievances. So if you have any grievance to, what channel do you have to pass through? Everything will be stated in the condition of service. Then you also look at some benefits. You remember when we were talking about compensation, we said we can put compensation into two. We have direct and indirect. And we said the indirect one, we are looking at its benefits. The direct one, we are looking at wages and salaries. But the indirect one, we are looking at. So what are the benefits? Now, if you look at this one, the benefits are here. But the only thing is, has got to do with the implementation, as well as the teacher is enjoying what is here. And I can say that the teacher is minimally enjoying what is here. So you look at the benefits. So some medical and other welfare facilities will be stated. So some organizations, they have free lunch, free days, and that, a lot of other things. We have done welfare, so you know what goes into the welfare of an employee. When we are looking at the functions of a human resource manager, we look at provision of welfare services. So that one too will be there. The opportunity for advancement and training, which we have already done. And I said every November, government or government building service pays teachers a certain amount of money for that purpose. Then it also talk about promotions, transfers, dismissals, demotions. What do you do? When are you promoted? For example, if you're a teacher, when you come to the teaching field, you start as what? And then after a certain number of years, you write exams, you are promoted, a number of years you write, you are promoted to a certain level. Everything will be stated in the condition of service. So they call it scheme of service. So you start from somewhere, that's your job title, and you move up. And the highest will be the Director General. So that one too will be there. What do you do for you to be dismissed? What do you do for you to be demoted? I know, or I heard of a headmaster who was demoted to go and teach in KG because of something that happened in his school. So you can be demoted, you can be promoted, you can be dismissed. If you misconduct yourself, you can be dismissed from the service. So everything will be there. So among others, these are some of the things that will be there. So in one of the years, they asked them this question. They said, workers often complain of poor working conditions. So we are looking at condition of service. Then they are saying that workers often complain of poor working conditions. You know, that's a statement, that's not the question. So what is the question? This is the question. The question says, give, say suggestions likely to help improve the conditions of service of clerical staff of an organization. That is the question. So if you know what goes into the condition of service, then you can now know the suggestions you are supposed to do. So for example, when you come here, these are some of the suggestions. Number one, I said, you know, we are looking at, it talks about wages and salaries. So if you give them adequate, so your suggestion is that this one should be adequate. So when you pay adequate or commensurate wages and salaries, then that one will help to improve the working conditions of the workers. Then the second one is payment of allowances. I told you that teachers' allowances that they are supposed to be paid, either they are not paid, some of them are not paid, others that are paid, there is so much delay. So you see, the teacher will be complaining about poor working conditions. So the suggestion is that allowances must be paid. So payment of allowances. The provision of accommodation. How many teachers are accommodated? If you go, so you see, but you know, but some teachers too have accommodation in the schools bungalows. So when you provide accommodation for workers, then that one will help to improve the condition of the working conditions. Then transparent promotion. So we are looking at promotion, transfer, whatever. When it is transparent, it is not like when you want to promote somebody, you promote the person, you don't even know when you can be promoted. For example, in teaching, it's so transparent. You know that you have worked for at least number of years, let's say 4 years, 5 years, and you know that you have to go and write exams to be promoted. So it's so transparent. You know when you are supposed to go for promotion. So if you go, you write the exams and you pass, it will be promoted. So when you when it is that transparent, then it will help you to look at one. Then you can also look at loans. When you give your workers loans without interest or with low interest rate, then that will also help to improve the working condition of the worker. The next one, when you establish a clear line of communication. Look at this one. We were looking at channels of redressing grievances. So when you establish a clear line of communication, each worker knows, or workers know what to do, where to go when they have grievances. Then that will help to improve their working condition. The next one is when the working environment is congenial. So when you provide congenial working environment, then that will also help to improve the condition of service of the worker. Then when there is adequate and commensurate reward system. When there is adequate and commensurate reward system. Workers are rewarded for good work and bonuses are given and so on and so forth. That will also help to improve the working conditions of workers. So that is where we end today's lesson. We looked at condition of service of a teacher. Then we came to look at the general meaning of condition of service. Provisions in a good condition of service. And then we look at a person. So we meet again another time.